Okay, I want to start this review of Alchemy rebalancing changes that are going live today with saying how impressed I am that we are getting changes today. Something that I have said a number of times is the make or break for Alchemy as a format is going to be how proactive they are with changes. And the fact that we're getting some amount of changes already is awesome. And I skimmed these changes already, and I have to say I really like the direction they took with being more proactive and consistent with these. Because let's start with this first sentence here. We're waiting to see the full impact of Kamigawa Alchemy before making balance changes there. So they're not buffing or nerfing anything in the most recent set. In fact, I believe there aren't any nerfs at all in these, right? These are all buffs, if I recall correctly. Oh no, this is Town Razor Tires. There's one nerf, but by and large, they are just taking a bunch of cards that aren't quite playable as is and making them more playable potentially, which is true. Fires is a nerf. That's not true. Fires of Intervention is being buffed from being banned to being playable. So it is a strict upgrade for people looking to play with Fires of Invention, because it was guaranteed unplayable before. Actually, let's start from the bottom. We're talking about that. They're nerfing and unbanning another card on the historic ban list, and I really hope that they continue doing this more consistently. Now, if you asked me, Jeff, what would be the first card you would nerf and unban, I wouldn't have picked Fires and Teferi. Like, I would love to see Winota and Field of the Dead and even Oko. I actually think Oko's a really sweet design. I would like to see it with better numbers, but I am glad in general that these changes are happening. So that's good. This is having a weaker version of a card be legal is better than something banned. Town Razor Tyrant. This is actually the only nerf in all of the cards focused on buffing Alchemy. That is a change. And I actually really like this change on Town Razor Tyrant. So this paragraph, to me, instills a lot of confidence because it says that they understand what one of the big problems with this card was, which was that you got punished for trying to decide if you wanted to keep your land before you drew your card for the turn. And the fact that you can just like guaranteed get one more use out of your land without taking damage will go a really long way in a lot of the matchups. That's the snowballs. And even just having more information before you make that choice will go a long way as well. Vega the Watcher just gained Ward 2. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, draw a card. I don't know if this card is still playable, but it's definitely, I don't know if this card will be playable with this change, but it's definitely strictly better, which is nice. I think the ward mechanic's great, and I'm glad to see them make more use of it. Conjure a duplicate of each of up to 2 target non-token creatures in your hand. This probably isn't very good. I guess this is technically a draw 2 for a creature deck at instant speed. Yeah, maybe this is good enough in Ninjas if you're a creature deck that wants card advantage. I feel like in something like Ninjas, this would compete with Kaido for a slot. So again, strict upgrade, but I'm not sure that this is playable. Angler now triggers when a swamp enters the battlefield in addition to islands. Okay, so this is just like more playable inside of a 2-color deck. I don't remember what this thing's spellbook is offhand. I think it's more like mid-range and controlling things. Tybalt the Wicked Tormentor. It does 4 damage to things. Does 4 damage to a creature, planeswalker's controller has to deal 4 damage to them. If they do, you may discard a card to draw a card. Again, strictly better, but might still be a little bit on the weak side. Gitrog Horror no longer lets people sacrifice token creatures. I don't know if that solves this problem. I feel like we've kind of moved past a place in Magic where just kind of big dumb beaters like this are good. This card might potentially be good. This is a pretty big reduction. They dropped its cost from 4 down to 3, and they reduced its foretell cost from 3 down to 1. And it lets you foretell more aggressively. So maybe this change to Cosmos Charger, along with Vega the Watcher here, could produce some kind of tempo-y foretell deck. Allrund. They buffed the front side to a 3/3 from a 2/3, so it hits a little bit harder, and then it's more likely to generate card advantage at the end. This is another card that gets bigger based on cards you have foretold, so maybe it goes to that same kind of foretell archetype. I like the approach that they've taken to these rebalancings in general, because we saw this in the last set of rebalances, right? Like the last set of rebalances, they buffed a bunch of venture into the dungeon cards, right? And this patch, they look to be buffing a bunch of things related to foretell, which is good. They're trying to take these archetypes and push them into constructed playability potentially in Alchemy. They made this cost 2. They made it scry 2. And they reduced its stats. So this, I love changes like this too. This isn't just a strict downgrade. It is instead a side grade. So the stats are worse, but the mana cost is lower and its effect is better. Yeah, that's a good observation too. Yeah, you would never play this card instead of Felstinger. And now maybe there's a reason to. Another thing to remember is that we exist under capitalism, chat. So these creatures can exploit themselves. So this can just be a sorcery speed 2 mana, sacrifice this scry to draw a card potentially. Goes a long way. Removed non-token restriction. Whenever a creature you control exploits a creature, make a 2/2 black zombie token. Okay. And this is, again, it looks like they're trying to push archetypes from previous sets that have proven to not be powerful enough for constructed. They made this a 2/2. That's probably not good enough. I guess it being a 2/2 means that it doesn't die to the deal 1 flip land, but I don't know that really matters. They knocked this down to be a 4 mana card. Okay, at 4 mana, this being a lord suddenly becomes a lot more reasonable as far as top end goes inside of a creature deck, right? Yeah, maybe zombies are going to be worth revisiting here, huh? This is a 2/2 with Death Touch that makes a Decayed zombie when it dies. Yeah, that seems super playable in an aggro deck. It has the potential to trade up and then gives you a little bit of extra value after the fact as well. Yeah, I think Hobbling Zombie is very reasonable at 2 mana here. Flash. Okay, so this is kind of a zombie card and also kind of an exploit card because it does both. It's neat. Skeletons, vampires, and zombies you control get 1/1. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, you get a 1/1 skeleton token. That could be okay. Stat line's a little bit better. That's also a lord. I'm not sure that I buy this being better than Nefari here, especially with the potential upside to return Nefari to play with some consistency. Cobbled Lancer. Only costs 2 to draw a card with it. This could be okay. I don't know that this explicitly goes inside of the zombie package because it's a 1-drop that you basically can't ever play on 1, right? So this could maybe we revisit the self-mill deck a little bit, although I don't know that it's just this buff will be enough to necessarily move the needle on that. And at any rate, I think a good overall summary here is I think they were pretty conservative overall with the things that they buffed. I actually wish they'd push power levels a little bit more on some of these buffs. But in general, I am happy to see that we are getting changes already in a largely positive direction. I think making cards that are unplayable better is a really positive way to encourage change in the format. Having your cards that were previously unplayable buffed into playability from an emotional perspective feels a lot better than getting your top deck nerfed down. And there's just so many knobs that they can twist and turn inside of a digital format like this that I'm excited to see where they keep going. I also think it's very smart. Also, I like that this paragraph here implies that we could potentially expect more balance changes, a month or 3 weeks or whatever from now when the direct to alchemy card drop happens. Remember, this isn't even the direct to alchemy cards, right? Like, we're getting a 25 or 30 card new card set to all digital direct to alchemy that's also going to come with further balance changes mid to late March. So that's great to see.